Ah, damn it.
I take you to the candy shop.
I didn't understand the true meaning of habitual behavior until I started having analysis sessions with myself, which of course happened when the most of the distractions disappeared from the sight. Looking back, it was mind-boggling how people could adopt habits that clearly weren't beneficial for them. Of course, biting nails doesn't create any positive feedback either. Luckily, my mother was always quick to mention how it signals insecure behavior, so I dropped it early on. I have smoked many, and I mean many times, but I never seem to get stuck with those. Still to this day, I wonder how nicotine addiction feels like. Those small nervousness habits can stack up and become a real annoyance in your life. Obsessive shopping, fidgeting, smoking are all signs of deep underlying longing for something else that could make us whole again. Or simply insecurities carried from childhood. Especially physical ones are very telling about the character of a person. If someone bites nails, smokes, flickers with knees, or fidgets in any way, it's a sign of self-esteem issues, nervousness and restlessness. Habit is a repetitive behavior, a routine that is carried out subconsciously without any thought or analysis of the act itself. It becomes mentally internalized and often goes unnoticed. Habits are the consequences of the law of the energy preservation. Humans develop habits to effectively go about life with the least amount effort put into it. How habits affect your life is very dependent on the state of the mind. Habits truly can make you or break you. There are of course pleasant and unpleasant habits. We oftentimes think of those obvious ones when talking about habits, like smoking or eating junk food. But the reality is that there is much more subconscious routines that we give into without even thinking. Procrastination, for example, is a very common habit that strikes many of us, and not many are willing to admit it for themselves. It's a short-term fix to delay the pain of doing a chore or something that you don't enjoy so much. Long-term and intensive procrastination overgrows to laziness, which consequently can result in apathy or suffering. There's a video on laziness, maybe I should do another one. What do you think? Simply put, laziness is about not having a direction in life and not knowing where everything is headed. People get shunned and ostracized because of being lazy. But as any other unpleasant habit, it's not a disease, rather a condition of unknowing. Habits are very telling about a character and should be fostered on an emotional level. When you really resonate with the beneficial potential of a habit, you will keep going and even start enjoying it. Like every other issue in life, be it situational or mental, looking inwardly is the most optimal way of resolving it emotionally. Yes, habitual programming can help tremendously and should be practiced anyway. But my understanding is if you connect with yourself on a deeper level, no programming or bribing of the mind is needed. It's like attending a very intensive course, packed with a lot of information within a short period of time. You have to plow endless amount of exercises and prep material in order to make something stick to your brain so that you can pass the exam. But if you truly understand the core of the subject, you'll be more confident in your ability to perform. I thought about all these nicely packaged titles, taglines, and articles telling us do this and do that to get quick results, to memorize faster, to lose weight like there's no tomorrow, or to get the love of your life. Remember, fast is the opposite of longevity. Think about those Galapagos tortoises. They are slow like a mother cracker, but yet they live several centuries. Slow and steady wins the race. Patience and slow attitude will make you achieve much more than being restless and clinging to that instant gratification. Habits can have a forceful beginning when you make yourself to do something. Lasting through repetitiveness will internalize the behavior and you will stick to it in the long run. Take the physical exercising for instance. The first weeks tend to be the hardest ones because you're either totally out of shape or you have been from training for a while now. The motivation is very minimal. You persevere a couple of weeks, you see results, you get uplifted, which keeps you coming back. They say that in average it takes 66 days to develop a habit. Habits can control your life in an unwanted way or make you invincible. The key is to recognize and become mindful of them. Pleasant habits stack up and generate well-being in the long run, like consistently showing up and honing your craft through dedication and passion. In the same way, if you let yourself to be consumed by unpleasant routines, you know which ones I'm talking about, the consequences can become dire. You are the sum of all your decisions compounded throughout the life, which are impacting you even more exponentially with time. I have always been triggered when people started something and never finished. Like, how can you do that? Especially boys. I had this arrogance in me, thinking of them being a bunch of sissies. You start something and if you're man enough, you finish it. I never was into winning in big occasions of whatever, but I was most consistent. And you know why? Commitment to the self. I talked about it in other videos. Somehow I always ended up being truthful with myself and acknowledging my inner wishes and desires. I hated doing stuff out of necessity, but when I was into something, no one could be more persistent. The pain becomes numb by perseverance. This is not about bragging. I didn't understand this up until recently. That's what I would like you to do. Develop habits that you are proud of and relinquish those that harm you in the long run. Not by forcing yourself, or maybe initially, but understanding the deep reasoning behind those. There's no point on rambling on different habits, so I would like this comment section to be a thread for those who have questions about their habits or habits in general. Pleasant or unpleasant, share your thoughts or ask questions if there are any. I'll try to answer to them as thoroughly as possible. And everyone else are more welcome to chime in. Help me, help you. Hossein out.